Trump welcomes Viktor Orban to the White House while the country is falling apart. Yeah, that's where we're at. The airports are canceling flights because the government is shut down. People don't know if they can buy groceries next week. And the president is rolling out the red carpet for a guy who worships Putin and wants to keep buying Russian oil. You can't make this up. Viktor Orban flies in from Budapest, the world is burning, and Trump's like, hey man, grab a Diet Coke, let's talk about sanctions. The government is in the longest shutdown in U.S. history, and the guy responsible for it thinks hosting Hungary's mini dictator is top priority. Millions of federal workers aren't getting paid. SNAP recipients are checking their cards to see if food money is coming. But Trump's schedule says, hang with Orban, maybe call Putin next. He even told reporters, there's always a chance I'll meet with Putin. Always a chance. Yeah, there's also a chance you could meet with Congress and reopen the government, Donnie. Try that for once. And while this circus is happening, New York City just made history. Zohran Mamdani is the new mayor, the first Muslim and South Asian ever to lead the city. The guy gives a fiery speech, looks right at the camera and says, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. The crowd goes wild. And you know Trump, he can't handle that.
The note didn't just get torn, it got shredded like a grocery list you didn't want anyone to find. Whoopi looked straight into the lens, held up the pieces, and basically said, relax, it was a joke. You could feel the studio exhale. The crowd laughed, a couple of groans mixed in, and then that little hush you get when daytime TV decides to grow a spine. She wasn't picking a fight. She just refused to let a comedy line get treated like a court filing. And honestly, that is exactly what the room needed. Subscribe if you support Jimmy Kimmel.
The next day, he goes on TV warning the new mayor to be nice to me because he approves a lot of things. Be nice to me? What is this, middle school? This man treats democracy like it's a customer service hotline. Press 1 to compliment me, press 2 to lose funding. It's pathetic. Think about this week. We've got airports cutting flights because the FAA can't keep up. 42 million Americans wondering if their food benefits will show up, and Trump's White House is turning into the international clubhouse for strongmen. He's not running a country, he's running a fan club for authoritarian buddies. Orban, Putin, whoever tells him he looks powerful that day. He's hosting dictators while his own citizens are struggling to pay rent. That's like throwing a champagne party in a burning building. And the best part, he still acts like New York betrayed him.
Many were surprised to see Darth Renovator on 60 Minutes. You know, 1 year after suing 60 Minutes for editing an interview, Trump sits down with 60 Minutes for an edited interview. Norah O'Donnell pressed the president on a number of issues, but his message was clear. Me, good. Biden, bad.
They've seen their grocery prices go up, inflation.
No, you're wrong. They went up under Biden. This was because of Biden. We've accepted all of these people because of Biden's open border policy. I put tariffs on China, but Biden let it lapse. What Biden did to our country should never, ever be forgotten. That was Joe Biden's war, not my war. We have no inflation. Biden had inflation and he didn't have tariffs. Look what happened to our country by having Biden as the president. Our country went to hell.
Yes, it did. And you were the Uber driver who brought us there.
Cut to midweek. Jimmy Kimmel walks out to a crowd that sounds like they've been waiting to laugh for 2 days. He does the thing he's good at, reads the posts, gives them space to sound as silly as they are, doesn't shout, doesn't puff his chest, just lets the words hang in the air long enough for the audience to go, oh right, this is ridiculous. Then the line that stuck, this was not a good night for the president. Everything he touched was a loser. The laugh was big, but it wasn't mean. It was relieved, like finally, somebody said the quiet part without turning it into a lecture.
This was not a good night for the president. Everything he touched was a loser. Trump hasn't been this embarrassed since he found out there was a Donald Trump Jr. But don't worry. If you're tired of all the losing, fear not, he's got an excuse. In fact, he's got 2 of them. He wrote, Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the 2 reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight. Now, if Republicans had won and he wasn't on the ballot, would he take credit for that? Oh, yes, he definitely would, but he lost. And then he posted this. He posted, and so it begins, which was either a response to Mamdani winning the mayoral race or he just sat down on the toilet. I don't know.
Let me back up. Monday on The View, Whoopi tossed a light jab about signatures and the magic of machines. It landed. A few minutes later, the producers slid her a note with a very careful clarification. You know the tone. We are not saying he did this. We just want to be super clear. She read 2 words, rolled her eyes the way your aunt does when a waiter overexplains water, and ripped the card. Not in anger, in that enough already way. Her point was simple. Jokes are allowed. You don't need a lawyer present to make a wisecrack. That little rip was louder than it looked.
I'm feeling, listen, there's nothing I can do about anything until I know what there is something to do something about.
Yeah.
So I am not going to give any more angst or uncomfortableness, but I will point something out. And I'm reluctant to do it, but I have to. And that is this. When we showed that piece of him with the microphone yesterday,
Yeah.
it bothered me all day and I couldn't figure out why, and I figured it out this morning. I don't want to hear any more parents out there nervous about what their children are being taught, frightened by drag queens reading books to your kids. If what you saw him do did not disgust you enough to protect your kids,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear from you anymore.
Yeah.
New York, the city that gave him everything, just elected a progressive who told him to turn the volume up. And you can tell it hurts. He can't stand that the city moved on. The guy's sitting in the White House watching coverage of Mamdani's win like an ex stalking their old flame on Instagram. Oh, she's dating progress now? She's thriving? Terrible person. Here's the thing. Every time you think Trump's hit rock bottom, he finds a new basement. Hosting Orban while the government collapses beneath him isn't strategy, it's self-parody. He's doing victory laps in front of dictators while millions of Americans are grounded, literally and financially. The planes can't take off, the paychecks can't clear, but sure, let's have a photo op with the guy who called the EU the enemy.
Everyone who works in TV knows the vibe when legal gets jumpy. Everyone who does comedy knows what it feels like when someone whispers, maybe pull that line, just in case. Whoopi's move was a reset. She basically told people at home, we trust you to know the difference between a bit and a breaking news alert. The audience clapped because it felt like daytime finally gave people credit for having brains. And yeah, the 47th president did what he always does when a joke lands. He hopped online and tried to turn volume into truth.
That's what leadership looks like now. The sad truth is, this isn't even surprising anymore. We've been trained to expect dysfunction, chaos, and a fresh scandal before lunch. The President of the United States is teasing meetings with Putin like he's dropping a new mixtape. Always a chance. There's always a chance he could actually do his job too, but I wouldn't bet on it. New York, on the other hand, is showing what real democracy looks like. Mamdani's win is proof that people want energy, progress, diversity, and someone who doesn't act like every criticism is a personal betrayal.
Late night is illegal, he said. These shows are failing, he said. Same playlist, new day. The funny part is that the rants always make the jokes bigger. You cannot outlaw laughter. It shows up anyway, especially when you hand the monologue fresh material every morning. Kimmel is dangerous to this stuff because he's calm. He reads the post, lets the crowd react, and then he brings up the scoreboard. If a candidate loses after your big endorsement tour, that's not fake news, that's math.
How you? It's us. He's not going to, say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
He's also,
On Sunday, he sat up in bed and posted, the NFL has to get rid of that ridiculous-looking new kickoff rule. How can they make such a big and sweeping change so easily and quickly? It's at least as dangerous as the normal kickoff, and looks like hell. Sissy football is bad for America and bad for the NFL.
If a thing you wrote in caps doesn't line up with what just happened, that's not media bias, that's reality saying hi. And he's smart about the phrasing. Short, repeatable. A sentence you can text your cousin without needing a paragraph of setup. Everything he touched was a loser. That's it. 8 words. You don't have to love Kimmel to admit that's clean. What I liked about the whole week is how the 2 moments fit together. Whoopi reminded people that humor isn't a crime scene.
Mike, I just want to point out that none of those things were done without permission. Everybody knew it was happening. This, nobody knew when it was happening. Nobody knows how it's happening. You say that it's being paid for by other people, but you know it's always going to come down to the people. The people are always going to end up paying something. So I don't understand why you don't get that people are saying, wait a minute, nobody asked. I don't remember asking for a ballroom.
Right. And also to say that Obama put in a basketball court is like saying, oh, should we do bath fit?
He stood on that stage, said Trump's name, and didn't flinch. That's courage. And the fact that Trump couldn't stand it tells you everything. The man who built his name on New York skyscrapers is now terrified of a New York mayor with a spine. So yeah, the country's on pause, the airports are chaos, and Trump's having tea with Orban. The symbolism couldn't be louder if it tried. This isn't diplomacy, it's delusion. It's photo ops for autocrats and tantrums for anyone who talks back. America deserves better than a president who acts like the world's oldest teenager in detention. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to America Facticity for more breaking news. Tell me in the comments, what's crazier to you? Trump flirting with Putin again, or him throwing shade at a New York mayor who actually won something fair and square? Hit like if you think it's time to ground this plane before the pilot flies, it's straight into another scandal.
Kimmel reminded people that numbers don't care about your feelings. She handled the vibe, he handled the receipts, and the president, as usual, provided the soundtrack by posting through it. I get that some folks roll their eyes at all of this. They want bills and court dates and policy charts. Sure, me too. But culture is how regular people actually process that stuff. If you can't laugh at a leader when he's obviously selling you nonsense, you'll stop noticing the nonsense.
You know? And
You were at that rally.
well, I just felt like, you know what? All of that mishigas about we're concerned about our children, and not a peep out of anybody. Not the evangelicals, not the mothers against whatever, none of them.
Rubio,
and I just thought,
Yeah.
so that's okay with you, but somebody who's encouraging your kid to read is not.
Right.
It freaked me out.
Considering the fact that I'm not a convicted felon friend of Jeffrey Epstein, and I've never paid off a porn star or sent a team of masked goons into a park to pull an old lady away from her grandchildren, I feel like my rating should be higher, maybe, than... At this point, finding a toenail in your salad has a 7-point lead over Donald Trump. And I hope he doesn't see this. I hate to, I don't like to upset him, but I think he might be upset because the White House put out a statement this afternoon. This is a real statement. Over 77 million Americans showed up on Election Day to cast their ballots for President Donald J. Trump, who is delivering on his overwhelming mandate to put America first. Jimmy Kimmel prays every night to garner a fraction of that support to keep his show on air after ratings dropped 64% last week. Sad. I like sad with an exclamation point.
Jokes aren't a distraction, they're a filter. They wash off the spin so the facts can breathe. There's also a small human piece we keep skipping. Whoopi and Kimmel both know their rooms. They know when to pause, when to cut the music, when to let silence do the talking. That's not accident, that's craft. Whoopi waited until the note tried to flatten the bit, then ripped it. You can't choreograph that and make it feel real.
And the other insane thing is that when people are going to go to their meetings with the judge, the meetings that they're supposed to go to, when they're listening to, what the hell, what?
I love when Sonny passes notes.
We don't know if Trump used an auto pen to part. It was a joke.
Yeah. We don't know if Trump used an auto pen.
Oh, come on.
But we do know that he didn't know who that crypto guy was.
Well, I'm sorry. The hardest thing about this job now is no one understands nuance. You know when you hear a joke, when somebody's fooling around, when they're not saying something specific, especially on this show. I'm very specific when I'm pointing stuff out. When I'm making jokes, you know when I'm making jokes. This is ridiculous.
Today, Caitlin Collins from CNN asked Trump whether he plans to pardon Epstein's right-hand woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, and whereas he's usually, very quick to weigh in bigly on this type of thing, for this one, suddenly even-tempered and even deferential.
The Supreme Court is back in session.
Yeah.
They rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance at getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're open to?
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
She was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I have to ask DOJ.
Oh, yeah. Ask DOJ and get back to us, please. We'd love to.
Kimmel waited until the crowd had heard the posts in full, then dropped the line and moved on. No victory lap, no dunk contest, just a clean tag that sat in your head all day. Meanwhile, the pattern from the other side hasn't changed. Lose a race, claim victory, get roasted, scream censorship, watch a monologue, insist you didn't watch the monologue. It's exhausting. And that's kind of the point. Exhaust people into not caring. That's where comedy helps. It wakes you up without making you angrier. It turns a foggy week into one solid clip you can remember.
Dancing Donald wasn't the only Trump on hand to fire the sailors up.
Hoo-yah, Navy! Hoo-yah, Navy! Hoo-yah, Navy!
Hoo-yah means help me in Slovenian. The president landed in a chopper to the tune of Danger Zone from Top Gun.
How are you? It's us. He's not going to say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
He's also,
He did promise to lower the price of groceries. I have not seen an egg for 1 cent since this man got in. I almost, we're too close. Something almost slipped out my face, But, I mean, what the heck?
If you're still here, here's the cut I'd make. Start on the torn note. 2 seconds, no voiceover, just paper and pieces. Then Whoopi, deadpan, it was a joke. Smash to Kimmel reading a post with that come on smirk. Quick jump to the crowd reaction. Hold one beat, then the line. Everything he touched was a loser. End on the audience laughing like a room that finally feels normal again. No moral, no sermon, just the vibe and the facts. And hey, if you want more breakdowns that talk to you like a person, not a pamphlet, tap like, so the algorithm doesn't bury this under outrage bait.
Whoopi Goldberg said, would you participate in a movie? She made some movie on basketball. This was before I ran for politics. She said, oh, you're so great. If you ever ran for president, you'd win. This is Whoopi Goldberg. You don't hear that? She said, I'm making a movie. Would you be in it? I said, in what capacity? Just a walk-on. You're so great. Would you do I did a walk-on for Whoopi Goldberg. Now she says, I refuse to mention his name. You know what? Politics can do strange things to demented people. Now, I've hired Whoopi to work for me as a comedian before this stuff, and a long time ago. And I went. And, I'm not particularly shy about what I hear. Her mouth was so foul. Every word out of her mouth was like the F word, this. I was with a group of people, like sort of nice people, and we had to leave. She was so filthy dirty, disgusting. Half the place left. I said I'd never hire her again, but she was so dirty. Every word was filthy dirty, and I left. And then I see her sitting about, oh, Whoopi, oh, what a loser she is. But I watched the way they ask questions, and it's like, they're on the same, they're partners in this crime that's being committed. Kamala again.
Drop the moment that stuck with you in the comments. Was it the rip, the line, or the split second of silence before both, when you could feel the whole country lean in? If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to America Facticity for more breaking news. Bottom line, you don't need to love either host to appreciate what they did. One defended the right to tease, the other defended the right to count. That's not left or right. That's just how adults keep each other honest. And if a president can't handle a joke and a scoreboard in the same week, that's not on TV, that's on him.